Hello, this afternoon on Joy Newsroom, former legal advisor to illegal mining task force Operation Vanguard warns President Akufo-Addo to resign from office, insisting the fight against Galamsey has been disastrous. And the Minerals Commission dismisses claims it interfered with the work of Professor Frimpong Boateng during his chairmanship of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. And also in this bulletin, the Economist Intelligence Unit has predicted that the National Democratic Congress is likely to emerge victorious in both the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections in Ghana. Just stay with us here on JoyNews. There's more here, and we are live on DSTV channel 1421 and GoTV channel 144 with me, Razak Musbau. Now, former legal advisor to the illegal mining task force Operation Vanguard, ex-Captain Jamal Tunzua Saidi wants President Akufo-Addo to resign from office, insisting the battle against Galamsey has been disastrous. Now, discussions surrounding illegal mining have become topical following widespread media reportage on a report authored by Professor Kwabena Frimpong, which indicts top-level government officials. Ex-Captain Saidi says the president cannot escape blame.
That to say that Galamsey is a historic policy failure is a gross understatement. Now, what I expect to see, therefore, is that I expect to see our president, on account of this embarrassing failure, to resign in terms of what his mandate is under Article 58 of the Constitution. Disagree with you if that's a position. I think it's a question, but if that was a statement, I'll disagree with you. The point is that to put yourself out there to run for the high office of president entails a lot, especially when it's someone who touts long, several years of public service, someone who has held sensitive positions like the office of the Attorney General, someone who has been foreign minister, and someone who, has been touted to be a human rights activist and advocate. And so, when we have failures of this scale and inconsistent with Article 58 and Article 69 of the Constitution, which requires, first of all, 58, that the president is charged with the main function of executing and maintaining the Constitution and executing the laws of Ghana, on the one hand. On the other hand, Article 69 tells us that if the conduct of the president amounts to what brings that high office to disrepute, or is inimical to our economic welfare or well-being, or even undermines our security, that should be a ground for the president to be removed from office.
This president, has elevated the Galamsey fight to the height no president has done before.
Now, the Minerals Commission has meanwhile dismissed claims it interfered with the work of Professor Frimpong Boateng during his chairmanship of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. Now, Chief Executive Officer Martin Kweku AEC says Professor Frimpong Boateng rather purported to exercise powers of the Minerals Commission. Now, Professor Boateng, who chaired the Inter-Ministerial Committee, in his report cites interference as a major constraint to ending the illegal mining menace. Mr. AEC has been responding.
In perspective, the Inter-Ministerial was not a regulatory body. Two, the Minerals Commission is a creature of the Constitution, giving the sole mandate to regulate process application and refer them to Minister for processing. So here we are, somebody gets up, the President in his wisdom set up an Inter-Ministerial Commission to look at the issues and advise and see the way forward. Then you are running a power structure and you get up and say you want to issue licenses to people. Do you expect the chairman of the commission to sit by and put his hands and watch you? And And something, listen to this carefully, and I'm serious about it because my blood is very hot about it. No single commission mining is, area is in license that was granted by the Minerals Commission. What we were expecting, because you see, what he started doing was that he just, went, got the land, and started launching. And today, I'll tell you this. The very place the president launched the commission mining, we were informed of that. The Minerals Commission was informed midnight before the launch because we have persistently resisted. And then the last few people have written to us that their license were being taken and being launched by Professor Frimpong Boateng. Ghana was becoming a laughing stock at the international community because you go out there to go and seek information and say, you come in, they take your land. So that area that the president launched, without the president know, we raised it, but we only wanted to manage the thing. It was Golden Star's property. Golden Star, you call Frimpong in and ask him whether Golden Star gave him the place. He did not do that. We raised it. The company has protected. We said, look, you cannot embarrass the government at this stage. It is too late. So that was wrong. That's what he was doing. The one that he mentioned, they opposed it because he didn't consult. There was no consult. Nothing was done. So at the point in time,
he also insists the Minerals Commission is currently adequately resourced to undertake effective supervision of mining resources.
We are going through the process. So within the space of 1 year, we're going to get about 40 pickups. So now, I don't struggle with pickups. We've recruited close to about 40 mining engineers as inspectors. So something I can confidently boast today, that the mineral, and I'm saying this on air, 31 million Ghanaians are hearing me. Minerals Commission today is one of the most well-restored public institutions in Ghana. I don't need inspectors, I have enough. We have so many vehicles. We are going to get 18 this year. That is part. Now, if you talk about efficiency and effectiveness, then he was basically attacking the licensing regime. Rightly, as you pointed out, very slow. So people, 1 year, 2 years frustration, they go and do galamsey. Now, I said a short while ago in my opening remarks, licenses can be done any time of the day, 24 hours, Monday to Sunday.
Meanwhile, CDD Fellow in Health, Dr. Kwame Sapon Esedu says this is not a reflection of the situation on the ground. Here is why.
Interesting when you listen, especially when I listen to the boss of the Minerals Commission saying they are fully resourced and all that. And I just oppose it with what I saw Erastus showing. And I must make a confession here. Myself and Erastus are friends. And when I'm in Ghana, we need to have seen more than he's actually put out. So if you remember, I made a post on Facebook and said that if SHRAG want to investigate this properly, they should subpoena Erastus. And I said that, and people didn't get where I was coming from, that his security would be under threat. And I said his security is under threat anyway, based on how the level of risk he subjected himself to. We all saw how they got nearly attacked, and their windows were smashed, and side mirrors broken and everything. But the point is that he has set himself out to ensure that this gets fixed once and for all. And very few people in this country of ours put themselves in the spotlight to do just that. Having gathered the information, currently the information is sitting in his head on devices that he's stored securely, but cannot be used for anything because of unnecessary and frivolous lawsuits and the fact that some people, I've seen people write on social media that that's fear journalism, and I'm like, you're ridiculous. You don't really understand how these things go. People would bring obnoxious, lawsuits just to truncate a process. And the state, because this is an essential threat, the state should prevent this from happening by simply either setting up a commission, trying this investigation, or the OSP, people who are clothed with the legal powers to give people immunity from lawsuits to actually tell us the full size of the beast we're dealing with. And you see something, I said these things painfully because in 2019, I remember I wrote an article of the effects, and I said they are the immediate effects, and then they are the short term, they are the medium term, and they are the delayed effects.
I'll bring you our JoyNews editorial with focus on the scourge of galamsey.
My presidency on the line to end galamsey. Such a heavily weighted statement rested on our minds and hearts and rooted our trust in the president. Many of us were excited. We saw excavators being seized and burnt. There was a flurry of activity that excited us. Today, the statement is greeted with a lot of cynicism and jeers. It seemed the statement rather gingered many people to go on a destruction spree. Former heart surgeon and Minister of Environment, Professor Frimpong Boateng, named actors in a report that gathered dust for 2 years at the presidency until it was leaked. We established committees, assembled a task force, seized excavators, burnt some, released the rest, and later said the excavators had vanished into thin air. The meticulous heart surgeon who helped the country establish a national cardiothoracic center and trained heart surgeons in Ghana was put in charge of this drive to end galamsey, and he failed. We procured drones to monitor forests and water bodies. We still failed. We failed because there was no political will. We failed because powerful people in government negotiated for their people to be released. Such an explosive report landed at the presidency itself, and absolutely nothing was done about it. On which line exactly did you put your presidency, Mr. President? Mr. President, your cousin, Gabi Otredako, tweeted that history would not be kind to you if you did not end galamsey. As you have witnessed, forget history. Even the present is not kind to you. Galamsey has existed for many years, but it is under your watch that this problem has deteriorated to its absolute worst form. It was terrible under John Mahama's presidency. He had no elaborate plan to fight the menace. But on your watch, and even after you put it in a supposedly elaborate plan, things have worsened dramatically. This environmental genocide has reached alarming levels. We all saw what Akonta Mining, owned by Wuntumi, chairman of the MPP in the Ashanti region, did to the environment in JoyNews' explosive documentary by Erastus Asaridonko. What has happened to him? Mr. President, did you really mean this?
I am prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter. I've heard it being said that I should be careful. Many of these people voted for me, and if I continue this exercise, perhaps they will not vote for me again. If by the grace of God I'm in a position, my party allows me to go again, and I have the health and everything to go again, that I'll not get it again. And I'll say to myself, well, this is a choice that all of us have to make as human beings.
The presidency dismissed the report as hearsay and a catalogue of grievances. Catalogue or no catalogue, are they true or not? We were also told that the report was an informal report, that it had no cover letter or addressee. Wow, this is what our presidency majors in now?
I think it's a damning, substantive, fact-filled report, and the idea that it sat on the president's desk for 2 years is unimaginable and unfathomable. So the idea that this report has been on the blind side of the president is really a joke and an insult both to the president's intelligence and integrity as well as to Ghanaians.
Mr. President, your government has been running a Green Ghana project. We are sinking a lot of money into this laudable project, yet we are unable to stop the destruction of our forest cover. So all the work comes to not zero, but negative, because we are losing money and not getting enough trees. But it is not too late. If you care enough, Mr. President, please restart the journey to protect our environment for your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren.
Let's do some politics now. And the Economist Intelligence Unit has predicted that the National Democratic Congress, NDC, is likely to emerge victorious in both the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections in Ghana. According to the unit's latest report released, the main factors influencing this prediction include poor governance, economic hardship, and debt restructuring. Joseph Akable joins me for more on this. Joseph, I mean, what reasons did EIU state will give NDC an edge of the MPP?
And so it mainly has to do with the current economic situation the country finds itself in. In fact, that part of the report is actually titled Political Stability, and it says the EIU expects Ghana's underlying political stability to continue in 2023 to 2027, despite a highly acrimonious party political landscape. It goes on to indicate that in terms of the political rivalry, it will still be between the MPP and the NDC. It makes reference to Parliament and says that government will continue to struggle in terms of pushing through controversial reforms, and makes reference to the recently passed revenue measures. It says it will test government strength and policy making in terms of controlling Parliament. Now, this is the part of the report that is quite interesting. It says we expect a transfer of power to the NDC at the 2024 elections, driven by anti-incumbency sentiment and public discontent with the current government over worsening living standards. However, irrespective of who retains power, we expect policy to continue to focus on ensuring macroeconomic stability. The new government will face similar economic challenges to those its predecessor did. Public dissatisfaction with the government stems from factors such as highly elevated domestic prices, poor public sector working conditions, and limited economic opportunities for young people. Then the final point has to do with the election watch, where it indicates that the elections in terms of the candidates will be different because the president will not be contesting, but the scales are tipping in favor of the NDC, and specifically John Dramani Mahama. But they point out that the party also has the option of opting for Dr. Kwabena Dufo, the former finance minister, if they want to do so, and concludes by saying that the NDC therefore stands a strong chance of winning the 2024 presidential poll and securing a legislative majority.
Well, thank you, Joseph Akable, with details of that EIU report. And moving on, second cycle schools, security, hospitality, and health institutions worst culprits of power theft. That's according to the ECG. Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana has identified 28 institutions involved in power theft in the Ashanti region. Now, the company has billed some of the institutions who stole power through direct power connections, bypasses, among others, to the tune of 1 million Ghana cedis as part of its revenue mobilization drive. Ohim Ntewia of our security desk has more in the following report.
Ashanti region accounts for 1.2 billion Ghana cedis, representing 21% of the 5.7 billion Ghana cedis owed by electricity consumers nationwide. Power theft accounts for a chunk of the commercial losses of the power company. ECG says the majority of the power thefts are orchestrated by unscrupulous persons parading themselves as staff of the company. Last week, 21 persons were arrested at Bohon, Barakasi and Kunsu for power theft. Over 20 second cycle institutions have also been caught in the illegality. General Manager, Network Projects at Ashanti SBU, Frederick Bediako, in an exclusive interview with JoyNews, names security, hospitality and health institutions as other worst culprits of power theft.
The work that we have done within the past 1 month, within the Agenda 2020, we have been able to identify about 28 institutions, ranging from the security to medical to hospitality industries, as well as some manufacturing industries, institutions that have done some bit of power theft, which we are in talks with through the Revenue Protection Unit to retrieve the energy that has been consumed and not paid for. So far, we have been able to bill about 1 million Ghana cedi. There's a major discussion that's going on to bill some other customers that would send the figure to way beyond 3 million Ghana cedi within Ashanti alone.
The Electricity Company of Ghana, through its Agenda 2020 program, is going after all power theft culprits. It will also ensure power consumed illegally is retrieved and perpetrators punished. Mr. Bediako cautions ECG customers against engaging unauthorized ECG staff.
Most of these things are also done by persons that are parading themselves as ECG representatives, but may not necessarily be ECG persons. This is because there are some contractors, some technical people that work within the ECG network that have also decided to clad themselves in the ECG logos and paraphernalia. We have had discussions with our contractors, and we have said that going forward, we've given a strong directive that going forward, every contractor is expected to build his or her own brand and not necessarily attach themselves to the ECG brand. So you would see that most of our contractors would have their logo, and then attached to it, you would see that there's an ECG logo attached to it, which we have said that it is giving a wrong impression to our customers out there. Customers should be very careful with who they deal with. The question would be, how do you differentiate between an ECG contractor or anybody that has a technical know-how to perform such services for you? The short code, which is the *226#. The fifth option, option 5, would give you the option to verify any person that is presenting himself as an ECG official.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oimenteria reporting.
Now, the Amasaman District Magistrate Court has issued a bench warrant for the arrest of 35-year-old Francis Annan for allegedly visiting the homes of beneficiaries of the government affordable household toilet project and charging them fees for maintenance. The project coordinator of the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Sanitation and Water Project under the Ministry of Sanitation, Engineer George Sedu, says his outfit will ensure the suspect and other fraudsters who are parading as officials of the project are punished. There is more in this report.
Open defecation in Accra used to be a major problem. The Gamma Sanitation and Water Project has made progress in addressing the challenge through the construction of more than 40,000 affordable toilets for homes in the city. However, some unscrupulous persons in recent times have started visiting homes under the guise of fixing non-existent problems with the biodigester toilets. One of them was recently arrested by the Gan West Municipal Assembly. The suspect, Francis Annan, was expected in court this week but failed to be present, forcing the court to issue a bench warrant for his arrest. Emmanuel Opoku resides at Amasaman. He is a victim of the scam.
The guy called me because he took a number from my wife. And he called me that he's from council. And they said my toilet is full, so he should come and draw it. So I chatted with him about the price. Then he said the last is 250. So I said, okay, you should do it.
Another victim at Amasaman has also been narrating his ordeal.
I think about 2 weeks ago, I wasn't around at the moment. I was at the worksite, and some guy came here, called me that he's from the assembly, right? Clean up. Assembly, I sent him to come and clean the biodigester. I said, okay, already I've been waiting for this kind of opportunity. So I asked him, how much does it cost? He says 300. So later I sent him Momo 1.5 to come and do it.
Environmental Health Officer at the Gan West Municipal Assembly, Catherine Ashigbe, says the assembly has received about 15 complaints.
So we're looking for means to get hold of those people. And so last 2 weeks, when another beneficiary came complaining that he wasn't at home when a gentleman by name Francis Annan came around, that we have sent him to come and service his digester. So unknown to him, he allowed him to service the digester. But after he came home, he realized some defects. He opened and realized that there are certain materials that should be in the digester. They weren't in it. We caused his arrest.
Coordinator for the Gamma Sanitation and Water Project, Engineer George Isiedu, says the culprits will be made to face the full rigors of the law.
First of all, we just from the court, and what they do is that they come to your home and then they tell you that your biodigester toilet is full, and so they have to dislodge it at a fee. And they charge between 350 Ghana cedis to about 500 Ghana cedis. And whether you like it or not, they insist that you must pay. So they start opening your digesters and then removing almost everything from the digester. They can't even reinstate it. And then they ask you to pay money. What we are saying is that this is not coming from any assembly. It's not from the project. It is not from, but I'm not surprised because since the inception of the Gamma project, we have provided a total of about 41,000 household toilets, mostly biodigesters. And this is in the effort towards increasing access to improve toilet sanitation and also meeting the SDG goals, which is the main target. And knowing the numbers that we have constructed, they thought that they could make business out of this. What we are saying is that it is not the Assembly's duty, neither is it the ministry's duty to be moving from house to house, insisting that they forcefully open your digesters. Anybody that comes in with that message is a fraudster, and that you must report such a person to the authorities for us to take the appropriate action against them. We are lucky we've arrested one person, and the person has been arraigned before courts, and the end result is for everybody to guess. You may end up in prison, or you will be also charged for the digester that you have damaged. And so what we are saying is that the ministry and the assembly have not sent anybody to forcefully open any digester. Anybody going around, we are warning you, it is not allowed, it is criminal, and anybody caught in that act should be arrested and prosecuted. We have arrested one person, and the court has issued a bench warrant to arrest him. When we arranged him before court, he failed to appear today. And so we are going to go for him, and we take the appropriate actions as will be allowed by the law. Otherwise, if the law places its hands on them, we will take the appropriate action, and the consequences can be far-reaching.
You're watching the JoyNews Room. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back. And the Anopheles stephensi mosquito is thought to be responsible for an increase in malaria incidence in Djibouti at a time when the country was scheduled to be declared malaria-free. They may be found in relatively small numbers, but are known to be efficient transmitters of malaria. Now, in the last of our series on Anopheles stephensi, JoyNews medical correspondent Dr. Netta Parasram looks at what makes the mosquito efficient in transmitting malaria parasites.
So far in this series, we've learned that the peak biting times of the Anopheles stephensi mosquito is between
6 to 9 before you go to sleep.
We've also understood that it's able to withstand a range of temperatures.
About 3.4 degrees Celsius lower and higher than that of the Anopheles gambiae.
Additionally, we've learned that it's gaining resistance against many insecticides.
It has 29 insecticide-resistant genes.
The Anopheles stephensi mosquito has been found to be effective transmitters of the Plasmodium parasite, even though they may be found in small numbers.
There has been studies, specific experiments, where Anopheles gambiae has been compared to Anopheles stephensi, where they were all given the same blood meal containing the same amount of parasites, estimated parasites. You realize that when they were given parasite from Africa, both of them delivered the same. I mean, the establishment of infection and the production of oocysts that eventually will turn into sporozoid to invade the salivary gland were comparable. But when they were given parasites from Asia, you realize that the Anopheles stephensi was able to develop more parasites, establish higher infections compared to that of the Anopheles gambiae, which means that per bite is capable of injecting more sporozoid compared to that of Anopheles gambiae. And if it behaves the same in our country, it means that even in low densities, they have the capacity to transmit more infectious dose of parasites.
Still, let's gear up and fight against the Anopheles defensi mosquito and other mosquito species out there. Remember to sleep under insecticide-treated mosquito nets. Wear long clothing. Make use of insect repellents. And indoor residual spraying. For Joy News, Dr. Netta Pasram.
Now, the Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Minister, Stephen Asamoah Boateng, says his administration intends to train and build the capacity of traditional authorities across the country to enable them discharge their duties efficiently. Now, according to him, training the chiefs will help sanitize the traditional space. Speaking after a visit to the Central Regional House of Chiefs, the minister indicated his ministry will also pay attention to the religious affairs and sanitize the space. There is more in the following report.
The mindset change. I believe one of the things in Ghana we haven't done very good is the mindset change. We sometimes are too pessimistic in our life. And I believe it's also because of the level of poverty. When you are poor, nothing appeals to you. You're looking at the basic things of life, food. And so we need to get through that poverty line. We need to get our economy back on track very quickly. Basically, agric must be tackled quickly, not just agric, whole and cutlass, mechanized agric. You drive between here and Cape Coast, you see the land both sides. And what I see springing up are buildings. We could put tractors on it and farm. Rice cultivation can be anywhere, as long as there's water. If you get through the air from Accra to Tamale, you see the savannah, it's there. Even the Accra place. So we need to tackle agric head on. We've done some, but it's a long way to go, especially mechanized farming. I want to see tractors on the farmland and clearing it in large scale and employing and make it wealthy for people, young people to move into agric. But as I said, if we get through the poverty line, then people begin to look beyond what's next coming in terms of food. Then their mindset is, yes, I can go out there and make things happen. I can make things work. So the positive mindset starts from there. And this is what the churches, I want them to also go into agric farming. They can't just be in the church every Sunday preaching. They go home and what did they eat? The children go to school, how do they pay fees? If that's the case, some of them are helping. The churches, some are doing it, some are not. So these are part of the policy areas I want us to discuss with them. So that you're not just preaching to a congregation about the kingdom of heaven, which we all want to go one day by our faith. But before we get there, I must survive. And if I have to survive and listen to you and help my neighbors myself, I need to be okay myself, meaning get food, get education, get the basic things of life, be healthy. And what's the church approach to that? Others are doing, others are not. So this is the kind of the area that my ministry will be looking at in the policy guideline.
So you want the church to go into farming, or you want them to support farmers?
Well, I just mentioned farming as one aspect, but they can go into other things, transportation.
But farming is good. Yes. Do you want them to directly be involved or to support their members too?
It's not that churches, yes. I want the churches to go. If they are listening to me, take large stretch of farmland and go farming. And maybe one Saturday, just get your congregation, different branches, go there and do some work.
What do you think will be the best approach? That the churches themselves go into farming directly, or they set a fund to support their members to then go into farming?
Both will work. They can go in directly and mobilize their church members to do it, or set up a fund and also help the members who wants to be involved. But then that's also commercial, and the banks are there. So the banks, that's another area we want to see the banks. The Agric Development Bank must be supported to go into agric. That's why it was set up. But I can tell you that the small-scale farmers cannot even reach Agric Development Bank, because some of them, they don't see the benefits so quickly. They rather want to import the rice rather than help the rice production in Ghana. But those are the things that policy, in terms of government policy, must be directed at, so that we don't have to encourage importation. We have to do things for ourselves. But I want the churches to take a cue from what I'm saying and go into farming.
Now, the human rights organization Amnesty International says it has noticed the surge in police brutality across the country, including attack on journalists in the line of duty. Country Director of Amnesty International in Ghana, Genevieve Partington, raised the concern on Foreign Affairs on JoyNews when she explained to host Blessed Soga that a number of these infractions were captured in the latest global report on the state human right 2022-23 issued by Amnesty International. Ms. Patterson made this assessment.
There are highs and lows in Ghana. I think every year something comes up, we go low sometimes, and then we a few steps forward, a few steps back. So right now the issue is, for example, we just launched our human rights report, state of human rights all over the world. Right. 154 countries. It's available online. It's completely free. You can download it with PDF. And it covers Ghana, and Ghana is not looking too good because we've done things like forced evictions, because under the international law, we're not allowed to force people out of their homes. We're looking at police brutality. There have been a number of cases where you journalists have been attacked by the police wrongfully. At the end of the day, even if you've done something wrong, you are innocent until proven guilty, right? So you need to be treated as such. So you can't have police, asking you to do inhumane things whilst you are, waiting trial or being held against your will. So, the police brutality has gone up in the report. Freedom of expression is an issue. We also have LGBTI rights, people's rights, because we know that the anti-LGBTI bill for now under consideration, but it's going to abuse so many international laws. I know people are I don't want this, but the issue is nobody is asking you to accept people who care for a different sexual orientation. We're just saying that, they live amongst us, leave them alone. No, don't criminalize it. Just leave them alone as they were. Nothing is happening,
What will a country such as Ghana do to regain that trust and the good standing when it comes to the respect for human rights across the world?
It's not just about ratifying international laws, because I always say Ghana is very good at that. We have a lot of learned people. We ratify laws all the time. We're very good at that. But the implementation is the problem. We rely a lot on funding from outside. That is the main issue. I think if we cut down less of that and look more on domestic mobilization of resources, we'll be able to, help our people better. So I think human rights in general, there's hope in Ghana. I don't want to dampen anyone's spirits. Yeah. And, we just decriminalized attempted suicide, which is amazing for the Mental Health Authority and all the persons that, are for, mental health issues. So that's one step in the right direction. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that things will get better, but we as a people need to do the work.
Now, last night, the oil dome of the Royal House Chapel was lit, and women from the corporate world joined in the Joy Corporate Worship, a celebration of God's goodness in a challenging economy. Well, patrons have been speaking, and they say they can no longer wait for the next edition, as it afforded them the opportunity to rededicate their business and the nation into the hands of God. There's more in this report.
Many corporate employees, self-employed and even children trooped to the oil dome of the Royal House Chapel with high expectations. To them, God is the only constant in a terrible economy impacting badly on businesses.
Oh, I like praises and worship. That is why I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, it's been awesome. The initial praise and worship time and then the prayer sessions by the various pastors. It's been awesome.
We interceded for the nation Ghana. The time that we find ourselves in is not a very good time for us.
Seek all the sea as I lift my voice and pray.
Prayers poured out from desperate hearts, seeking solutions and peace in troubled times.
And we cry unto you. We declare unto you.
The main acts, MOG Music and Celestine Donko, watered the grounds with praise and worship, ushering patrons into another realm of supplication. Funds were raised through offerings for the Wager Leprosarium. Pastor Papa Kuranchi Ankra urged all not to lose hope.
There, if you are listening to me, if you are watching me, and you have given up hope, please let your hope be revived, knowing that God is still in control. God is still on the throne. God is still in the business of taking care of you. And it's only a matter of time. Help is around the corner. And I pray for you that good news is coming in the name of Jesus. There will be a turnaround. Don't throw in the towel yet, because light is at the end of the tunnel.
Programs manager at Joy FM, Adam Naite, and Pastor Atuakwa couldn't have been happier for a successful event.
Very awesome. People turned out. The prayers were good. Worship, praises, everything. And the Joy FM and the whole Joy Brands team has been very supportive. And
joyful atmosphere. I pray, and hope that, God willing, next year we'll have yet another, edition of corporate worship.
Bring you some sports now, and the Africa Table Tennis Championship came to an end on Thursday night, with Ghana failing to win any gold medal in the singles category as Nigeria enjoyed all success. Well, Loris Baidu monitored proceedings for Joy Sports and did come through with his report.
Ghana opened its doors to the rest of West Africa earlier this week as it hosted the 2023 ITTF Western Africa Regional Table Tennis Championships. The 4-day event saw 7 countries come to the Trust Sports Emporium to demonstrate their table tennis skills in an attempt to secure qualification to the 2023 African Championships to be held in Tunisia. At the end of the tournament, Nigeria continued their dominance in the region, winning gold medals in all 4 categories of the competition to finish as the best performing country. Nigeria completed a clean sweep in the women's singles category, winning gold, silver and bronze medals. Bello Fatimu, who was winning the competition for the 4th time, shared experience from the tournament.
I need more training. Like, my opponent in the finals, she was a good player. Like, the match was really tough.
From here, you are moving to the African Championship, which obviously is a big stage. Yeah. What should Nigerians and then West Africans expect from you?
The best of me.
She also led Nigeria to winning gold in the women's team category, where Ghana came up second, winning the silver medal. Cynthia Kwabi was Ghana's captain in the category and said she had a good experience from the WTTC and looks forward to the African Championship in Tunisia.
Well, I think it's true with training and determination, and also me having a bit experience in playing Commonwealth Games and African Championship made me to be able to put on my maximum best and helping our team to win medal for our nation Ghana. I think going forward we will keep on training, we put on our maximum best. As you can see, the women, we qualified for Tunisia, that's the continental qualification, and with the singles I also qualified because they will take up to 8 players, which I was able to place 5th in the singles. So I think it's a great opportunity for me to go and learn more in order to exhibit my talent in terms of when it comes to another tournament for me.
In the men's singles and team categories, Nigeria were second to none and claimed gold medal, with Amadi Ume being the standout player. He explains that the African Championship may come too early for him to compete, but was pleased with his performance at his first West Africa Regional Championship participation.
And the tournament is very hard for day one. So I was gradually fighting and winning all my match. So I'm so excited for finally I won the whole match from men's single and the men's team. I won 2 gold medalists. I'm so excited. You know, because I have confidence because I train in Nigeria a lot. I train very well. My coach really trained me. I also thank God for my coach and the federation for allowing me to come to Ghana to participate for this West Africa competition. This is my first time to participate for West African competition in Ghana.
After guiding Nigeria to excellence at the tournament in Accra, their coach says the target now is to focus on the next competitions ahead.
So we have African Championships in Kenya by next month on the 4th of May. We have only two men and 2 women that are going. I know Kodri, Maitawo, Fatima, Bello, and then close to Miche. When we go back to Nigeria now, we are going to be in an intensive camp, intensive training, prepared fully before we proceed to Kenya. From Kenya, we now go to Tunisia for the African. When we get there, we'll meet other African players over there, and I believe we'll try our best.
Ghana's male team picked up a bronze medal despite losing the men's team 3rd place playoff game to Ivory Coast. The first 4 countries in the team's categories qualified to the 2023 African Championships, while the first 8 from the singles also advanced to the main tournament.
That's all we have for you on JoyNews Room with me, Razak Musbau. There's more on my joyonline.com and sports, entertainment and all the others. Do have a lovely afternoon.